Another option for reducing the stress on your body in gardening could be a raised bed. So we have one right here, and it can decrease the stress on your entire back and your knees, having things at a level with your arms and at your waist level. So hopefully you had the forethought to do drip gardening, watering here. Christina has a watering can here because we don't have this on drip. She's going to show you how to hip hinge and pick up the watering can with two hands using her core, and it's a bit heavy. We filled it up heavier than we really needed to, so she's got to be extra careful. The best thing, let her empty some of that out. She's still hip hinging. See, her body is mostly up straight. Her chest isn't all close to the watering. She's using her legs. She's not twisting. And now she's turning to where she's doing her watering. And now it's a level probably about where we should have started, which was half full. And it's a little bit more manageable. We get more walking in if we have to take a couple trips. So raised beds, great option. And there's so many options out there for you today. So one of the most difficult things that requires repetitive work that we probably really only want to do 5 to 10 minutes at a time is when we have to prune high bushes. So avoiding a ladder, because a ladder has all the risks in its own of course falling off. We're going to talk about a common thing, which is pruning. So we're going to prune this lemon tree, and hopefully you can keep it at shoulder level. Always keep your work at shoulder level with your shoulders if you can. But if you're going to go up high, and for Christina, these high branches, she's going up on her toes, so we want to still keep her shoulder blades down, her mouth drawn back, her core is really holding her up so that she doesn't have to bend back. You can see her weight is straddled between two legs, front leg, back leg for safety. So if she was to get a branch to fall on her, she could shift back, show us shift back on your back leg, keep your core engaged, and regain your balance. So one of the most important things we want to think about is safety when we're in our garden. As we talked about ladders, making sure they're sturdy, making sure the person's going up on them is a person that should be up on a ladder. Is their balance okay? Do they have dizziness? Do they have blood pressure issues? Do they have weakness that they shouldn't be on a ladder? Always get a friend or one of your kids to help you with a ladder if you need to. Another thing is right here, we left a rake lying in the middle of the lawn. Well, guess what? Even these little ones, you could step on one end, it could flip up, hit you, you can trip and fall. So little tools, big tools, pick up your tools. Make sure the space is clear. So in order to pick up this tool right now, I'm going to hip hinge over, pick up my tool. So we practiced our hip hinge. We want to use this in all of our activities, whether it's picking up a rake or picking up a heavy pot. So I'm just going to demo that again. Weight is in your heels, hip hinging, chest is lifted, picking up my rake. If that's hard for you to do, another thing you can try to do is we can do a golfer's reach, hinging at your hips. Bring your leg behind you, bring your arm down, pick up the rake, and you've got your rake picked up. So the next thing we're going to talk about is raking. Because raking, especially in the fall, we have a lot of raking and a lot of picking up to do. So first thing you want to do is when you hold on to your rake, you want to try and keep your hands in the most neutral position you have. Trying not to, neutral would be your hand not side to the right or side to the left or down or up, straight on as best you can as you start to rake. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't want to keep their back straight, so we have to hip hinge. And we also need to move with our rake. Instead of staying put and just, this is a not do, turning and raking in a circle, we want to dance with the rake, just like we should dance with our vacuum cleaner. So we're going to lunge and pull, and lunge and pull, and lunge and pull. Put some music on and you can dance with your rake.
I want to show you what not to do in gardening. This is a reenactment of me about probably 17 years ago and why I got sciatica and why I originally came to Chris as a client. I was sitting on the ground just like this. I had no awareness of my spine. I rounded forward. You can notice my back gets really rounded. I'm in flexion. And then I started pulling a shrub out like this. I'm over recruiting into my hamstrings. I'm loading my low vertebrae. It's a recipe for disaster. Even if it's a small plant or shrub, just something small, and you think it's harmless, oh, I can do this. Please don't. It's not worth your back trouble. So we want to show you the right way to get a shrub out of the ground. Never do it like I just showed you with a flex spine. You're going to come up to a standing position, and it's all about the proper tool, like everything in life. You want to use something like a spade, maybe, or a rounded shovel, and you're going to use good form to then get that shrub out from the base and then pull it out. That's very important, using proper mechanics, neutral wrists, hip hinging. Also, if it's a smaller shrub, you can use a small shovel, right? And you want to use proper mechanics like we showed you in the beginning, where you could be kneeling or on both knees, hip hinging, and getting that shrub out. But again, it's all about the right tool to get these items out of the ground.
My last concept that I want to go over today in gardening and safe gardening is the concept of pushing anything rather than pulling. We can always push easier a wheelbarrow than pulling a wagon. If all you have is a wagon, it's good, but it's okay, but pushing, you can lunge and get your whole body into it, always moving from the center, and even hip hinging if you have a heavy load to push. But you want to maintain as upright a body as you can. And again, if you're pulling like this, it's going to be a lot harder. So thank you for joining Christina and I for tips on gardening from physical therapy and Pilates. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us. Happy gardening.